All right. Well, welcome everybody. Podcast episode number 8 with my special guest, Kuvaal Patel, one of the most impressive persons that I've ever had the chance to and the pleasure to, accustom myself with. And yeah, I'm glad to have you on the podcast. So just to give you some background with Kuvaal, he's been all over the place, it sounds like. So born in Normal, Illinois, look that up, moved to Vegas, went to high school in Buffalo, New York, and then went to college at University of Arizona, Bear Down. Is that what they say? Bear Down?
That's the right one. Yep.
Let's
You got
go.
it.
And then opened up a Cutco branch office. When did you start selling Cutco? Was it during college? Was it right after high school?
Now, during college, my second year, the summer between first and second year. So that was like July of 2016.
Jared Timmons.
Yep. JT.
Shout out to the man, Jared Timmons. And then, yeah, Kuvaal opened up his own branch. So that's how I know Kuvaal. For those of you that can't put it together, I know him through Cutco. And yeah, opened his own branch, did pretty well in Kingsman, Arizona. Look that one up as well. And then after that, became assimilated with the Western region in LA and ran a district office for multiple years. And in 2020, had $1 million year, crushed it, was like #1 in the entire West Coast. I'm pretty sure you and Kyle were like going neck and neck. I mean, I did pretty good in Dave's office. I gave you guys a good run for your money when I was his Dom. And then had a great year in 2021. After that, only working like a few hours a week in the business, still eclipsed 600,000 in sales because he was doing a bunch of other things, getting his master's degree in real estate, ended up closing his district office to pursue real estate as that was his passion at the time. Rental units is a thing. He's also a published author. Zero to Cash Flow. I still got that in the bookshelf right up there. Read it a couple times. And now he is the director of sales for a $1 billion real estate company, strength and conditioning coach for his favorite soccer team, LA Galaxy.
Now, LA Force. So it's
Hey,
a third
four.
division men's professional soccer team.
There you go. There you go. Still, hey, you're doing your dream.
Yep.
You're living your dream.
Yep.
And then you have 6 rental units that you own and, manage and whatnot. And now you have another project that's in the works that's pretty amazing, and we'll dive into that. But Kuvaal, I just got to know, like, I think everyone wants to know, how do you do it all? How do you balance all of these things that you're doing at once at a high level? And he also just got engaged. He also just proposed to his girlfriend, well, now fiance, Nicole. And so, yeah, like, how do you do it all, man?
I wish it was some type of complex answer or some type of complex solution to the answer to the question. But honestly, bro, it's just I just schedule. Like it's just my schedule. I put it in the schedule and I do it. I tend to break up the activities into like time blocks in the schedule. So I get done like the hardest things in the day first. And with the current jobs that I have, I tend to do like second nature stuff first, real estate stuff in the middle, and personal stuff towards the end of the day, just time zone wise. And I'm usually up and working by like 6-ish, 6:30 in the morning. And then I pretty much finish up about 6, 7 in the evening. But
Oh,
it's a long day for sure.
I neglected to even mention that you also are in tech sales at Second Nature with Kyle Lopes, the previous
Yep.
podcast, on top
Yep.
of everything. And so, yeah, and let's just take it back to kind of the origins. Growing up in Vegas. So how long were you even in Normal, Illinois for?
Couple, I think a year, maybe a couple
Okay.
months to a year.
Just infancy, toddlership.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Vegas. And
Yep.
how long were you in Vegas for?
Till I was 11. And I was diagnosed with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. So like letters flop in my head. I couldn't read well for a very long time. When I was in ninth grade, I was reading at a pre-K level. And when I graduated high school, I was reading at like fourth, fifth grade level. And my handwriting is awful. Like the hand-eye coordination doesn't really work too well. So I was diagnosed with that when I was 11. Found a boarding school in upstate New York, just south of Buffalo, that I went to when I was 12, and was there from about 12, 13-ish until I graduated high school when I was 17.
How did all those labels like affect you mentally going through high school?
I definitely had a chip on my shoulder. In high school, though, it was different because everybody at that school had learning differences. So it's kind of like I found my crew. So in high school, I was very competitive. And even after high school was very competitive. But I had this chip on my shoulder leaving the school because the school that I was at, middle school, because the principal told my parents that I wasn't gifted or hardworking or talented enough for that school. And just kind of hearing that put this chip on my shoulder, and that's what really fueled me for a long time until I realized that the chip was no longer serving me. So then the energy kind of changed and shifted in my brain to like trying to prove them wrong to make sure that they don't do that to anybody else ever again. It's kind of how it shifted, and that's been the driving force for me for a very long time.
Yeah, that's incredible. I do remember you mentioning that in prior conversations that we had in Champ Dev. And so you go to this boarding school in Buffalo, New York, you find your crew, you start finding a little bit more about yourself. You got this chip on your shoulder. You're like, yeah, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. It's kind of similar to my last podcast with Kyle. You know, everyone was saying that, oh, you're not good enough to get in this school or play hockey here or do that. And he was like, I'm like, there seems to be this common theme with high performers wanting to prove people wrong. And then you get into University of Arizona. So how did that happen? Why did you choose to bear down?
Yeah. It was a combination of I didn't get into the number one school that I wanted to go to, and there was a cool like dyslexic program like learning accommodation at U of A, and it was close enough to my parents in Vegas where I could like go to them, but they couldn't really visit me unannounced. It was kind of one of those situations. My top choice was actually Stanford in the Bay, and I didn't get in. I still want to go to Stanford because they have really cool programs that I really enjoy, and obviously Andrew Huberman's up there, so I really want to go. But yeah, that's how it kind of happened. And graduated from high school, went to U of A. Really did not do well my first year because in boarding school, I didn't have the opportunity to like party like high school people normally do. So I just went ballistic in my first semester. I actually lost my scholarship because of my grades first semester, and kind of turned it around second semester, and then started Cutco that summer.
Nice. And really what caused you to turn it around? Obviously, like losing the scholarship sucked, but like what did you actually tangibly do to turn it
Yeah,
around?
I and I think that's really where it started, like me just doing a lot and spending a lot of time focused, like in deep focus and deep work. I ended up taking a whole bunch of classes. I graduated 3 years early, not because I graduated in 3 years, so 1 year early, not because I came in with a bunch of credits, but because I was taking like two or three extra classes every semester, taking two classes in the summer, two classes in the winter semester, the winter session. So I think from that, it really made me understand what was super important, which classes needed the time, and then which classes I could kind of just do at the very end of the day because they were just super easy. So I think that's where I started to really get my priorities, and, like understand what needed to get done first and what I could kind of wait till the end to do.
Yeah, prioritize and execute. And then you started Cutco after like your second year at U of A with Jared Timmons. And then how did you start? Like, were you just a rock star right off the bat? Were you crushing it, top rep in the office?
So I was doing virtual demos before virtual demos were a thing. Obviously, growing up in Vegas and New York and upstate New York and not knowing anybody or many people in Phoenix or in Tucson, I didn't have that in-person demo base that I could start with. I had a couple people that helped me out with the in-person demos, but really my first 30K in personal sales was done 100% virtually with 10K fast starter, got into Leadership Academy. Um, didn't really do much in sales during the school year. Was kind of like an assistant manager learning how to run an office. Sold a little bit here and there through the semester, and was really excited about opening a branch office. And went into the summer for branch with the game plan and the goal to sell 250 or 225K. I ended up finishing up at like 95 or whatever, 95,000. So did not hit the mark at all. But that was a really fun experience. It was probably the hardest summer of my life because of the personal things that were going on. It was my first summer in a relationship with Nicole, and I was just so focused on work that I let work get in the way of their relationship. And that's kind of when the lessons started to, when I really started to learn that I had to put enough time into their relationship for it to grow, as well as putting time into the business for it to grow.
Mm, yeah, and working in Kingsman, Arizona, you know, a place that to explain a little bit about Kingsman, Arizona for those that don't
I
know.
uh, I slept in the office, dude. I did not have an apartment or a house to go to, so I slept in the office. It was like a 16,000 square foot building in Kingman. Then I guess the government was trying to buy it, and so there was all these months that the government was like not occupying the office. So the person who owned it, selling it to the government, like leased it to me for the 2 or 3 months that I was there. So it was like a furniture store and a real estate office kind of put together. And so the back furniture store had this like I forget what it's called, like a loading dock or loading bay where I'd park my car inside the building overnight so people didn't know I slept in the office. And I slept in a room like right next to my private office. I had like a futon and a fridge. And my dog Bailey, we slept in the office together. I'd shower at the gym Monday through Friday, and then go to Vegas, my parents' house over the weekends.
Wow. So that's like ultimate hustle gene, just making it happen. You
Yep.
know, eating,
Don't
breathing.
I don't recommend it at all. Don't recommend it at
No, I
all.
mean, probably great lessons. I mean, you probably are
Yeah.
into who you are because of that experience. And then after that branch office, you have your last year of college, you graduate, and then you open your district after that. What year was that?
I was 18, May of 18 when I opened the district.
And then where did you open your office at?
It was West LA, so right near the airport.
West LA. So tell us a little bit about your experience running a district office for multiple years in West LA. What was the culture shock like? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure it was a huge culture shock going from Arizona to LA and never have living in California before.
I was so excited, dude. So I actually moved to LA because of modeling and acting. That's why I came to LA. And I was actually going to come here to do CSP, like professional sales with Cutco. And there just happened to be a management opening. And I met Hayes for the first time. And when him and I connected, that was really where I was like, well, actually, maybe I could be a DM and him and I could be buddies. And it kind of just took off from there. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was super excited about everything that was happening. My very first interview ever, because of how close we were to the airport, the very first applicants ever walk into my office was like, oh, is this not the airport job? I was like, yeah, no, this is the furthest thing from the airport job, or whatever I said. And so that's where I was like, what did I get myself into? I just had no idea what I was doing. And that summer was pretty fun, a lot of learning experiences and, a lot of growth. And it really wasn't until Hayes and I started to share an office, which was probably in 2019, like in the fall of 2019, a couple months before COVID. Him and I shared an office for a few months. And that was really where I started to learn how to actually be a district manager instead of just like a sales coach, I guess, like actually starting to think longer term about the business. And so Hayes and I shared an office together. We ran the big dance together. Our offices combined were probably like top in the region just because of sales numbers. And then he got promoted, or he got moved to Newport Beach, and I stayed in West LA, and that's when Stewart opened. And then being a partner with Stewart, where we shared the office together, he took over Hayes as part of the lease. That was just a completely different experience because Stewart came from like a commercial real estate business coming into Cutco. He just had a different way of running the business, and it was really a cool opportunity to learn from him as COVID was happening and the entire business was changing. So everything we knew, we kind of had to throw it out the window. We had to throw it out the window, and it was just the business was entirely new from that March. And Stewart came in with a really fresh perspective. And it was really awesome for me to be able to bounce ideas off of him and him bounce ideas off of me. And we just created like a super office with Cutco. It was awesome.
Yeah, you guys did. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Stewart, got second in the Silver Cup race that year, battling with Ben Lee. You guys had, I mean, Stewart's like probably one of the funniest persons I've ever met on this planet. And so that, I mean, I can only imagine that was just like a really fun time during a period where human connection was at an all-time low. And here you are building something amazing. And so really, what was that transition like for you? Going from doing everything in person, that's kind of all we know, to then every single thing is done virtually. What was great about you is that you already had a lot of experience doing virtual demos, so I feel like that's why you really capitalized on the transition into an all virtual, all remote setting. So what was that transition period like for you?
Man, it was really great. And transitioning into remote work was the first time that I had like a job that was supposed to do 100% remote, right? Because obviously COVID, you couldn't go anywhere or see anybody. Because even when I was in AM doing virtual demos, I was still in the office with people, and I was still like running interviews as an AM back when I was in college. So it was the first time that I was really able to capitalize on the time that I was spending working versus not working versus working on things outside of the business. So I really enjoyed it, and it gave me the opportunity to like push boundaries. So I'm sure Carson, and I'm sure everybody in Vector knows at this point, but like Stuart and I, maybe I should like we can cut that part out. But like I was recruiting people, cut out the part where I say Stuart, but like I was recruiting people from like all over the nation, and I didn't really care about territories because I was building something where people were like, around wanting to be around me. And there was a reason why these recruits were like in my office instead of in their local office, was just because of the community and kind of the culture that we were creating. And it really was amazing because I was able to create a culture of people that were just like me. And it made it more fun to come to work every day. And as I thought about kind of my exit from Vector, it was when those people went back to school and I wasn't able to keep them that I really did not enjoy the business. So for me, that was when like I realized the culture, the people that I'm around is one of the most important things, which is why I found so much fun and love with the new jobs that I have with real estate and with Second Nature, because the people there are just amazing. And it's kind of like duplicates of me all around. But yeah, working remotely with Vector in 2020 was awesome. And getting into 21, I actually really didn't want to work. I don't know, Carson, if you even know this, but I almost died a couple of times at the end of 2020 and beginning of 21. I choked on a taco. My neighbor saved my life. She gave me the Heimlich in the hallway.
What? I know.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Are you
yeah.
kidding me?
I have a Ring doorbell, like the footage of the Ring camera, like showing me running out of the hallway, and you can't see me when I turn the corner, but you can hear me like say choking, choking, and like the neighbor giving me the Heimlich. So she literally saved my life, and so she was the daughter of the person who actually lived there. So the daughter of my neighbor, an adult daughter. She was leaving after painting up like a couple of rooms in the house because they just bought it, or in the apartment because they just bought it. And if I was like 10 seconds later, she wouldn't have been there. I'd have been dead in the hallway. And so that really changed my perspective because that was the day after Nicole's cousin died in some crazy ski accident. So it was like back to back, like traumatic experiences for me and potentially even for Nicole. Um, and I just was like shocked. It happened again in February where I was eating chicken and rice and I choked again. My maintenance guy gave me the Heimlich, saved my life. And obviously, since then, we've done tests, and I understand now that I have just some like problems with my esophagus and like problems swallowing stuff, but working on it for sure. But that year is when I just realized that I spent so much time working. And in 2020, while it was a great business year, it was a terrible personal year. I hit $1 million, got the Rolex, had money in the bank, had houses that I owned, but I didn't have anything to show for it other than like money in the bank and houses. And that's when kind of the dots started to connect where I was like, what am I really working towards? What am I doing? Because I was just so focused on a day-to-day grind that I didn't really think past just the business. I didn't think about family. I didn't think about friends. I'd missed so many birthday parties, missed so many weddings. So through 2021, I spent like 60% of the year traveling back and forth from Las Vegas to different countries, different states with different coaching groups that I was part of, that we were part of together. And it really opened my eyes to how big the world was and how little I had actually seen. And how like big fish and small pond I was at Vector. And there was so much more for me to be able to experience that I also got my master's degree that year, wrote and published the book that year. And there was just so much going on outside of Vector that that's when kind of the seed planted where it was like, I got to get out of Vector and try to do something else. So I got my real estate license in December of 21, joined a real estate team January 22, sold my first house in about 2 weeks after getting licensed, which was a pretty cool experience. And that didn't sell anything until June, and then didn't sell anything again until August. And then I quit. I quit Vector in July of 22 is when I officially closed everything down. From July of 22 through November of 22, I was just hustling like every day, making calls, getting to the office, being like a true salesperson again after being in management for so long. And in November of that year, after 3 months of like just working my butt off, I ended up closing on however many houses I did, and I ended up closing 14 transactions or 13 transactions in quarter 4 of that year, which set me up for rookie of the year that year in the real estate company. Made more money that month than I had made in Vector, like net profit in like an entire year. I made it in 1 month. And then 2023 came along and the real estate market super changed. And it was really tough to even sell a house. But the momentum that I got kind of brought me up and ended up selling 25 homes, 2023. And then 2024, I realized I love sales, but I don't love emotion, the emotional part of real estate transactions because it's so emotional. And it wasn't what I was anticipating. You know, buying property myself as an investor, it's very emotional, like emotionless, where it's like, does this work? Does this check the box? And I didn't anticipate all this emotion in residential real estate sales. So I went up to the guys that Jeff and Tori, the guys that run the real estate team, and I just told them, hey guys, like I'm getting kind of burnt out from all these emotions in real estate transactions. Like, what else can I do? And that's where I picked up the director of sales title. And my role kind of transitioned from just selling homes to now like coaching and recruiting agents. So kind of like being a vector DM, but for real estate. And it's like matched everything that I love with everything that I love about vector, everything that I love about real estate, all into like one job. And it's been amazing the last like 7 or 8 months so far. That was a
Uh,
ton, dude. I just spilled everything.
no, that's great. I know that's why we're here, man. And I do want to like bring up you mentioned Champ Dev and like you like several coaching groups. I want to really dive into like the importance of personal development because that sounds like it was a huge transition to how you viewed life and it opened up your eyes to like, wow, there's so much more out there for me. You got me into Champ Dev actually. I don't know if you remember. You invited me to a Free Money Monday that was happening, and Mike Chu was already like messaging me on Instagram. We had all these similar connections, wishing me happy birthday, you know, like nurturing relationships and whatnot, just like being a good guy like he is, just doing his part. And all of a sudden I get this invite to Money Monday and I get to like meet Mike Chu and I see you in there and a few other people in there. And then like several weeks later, I'm in Champ Dev, you know, because of your, I don't know if you knew that, but like, thank you, first of all, for like getting me the introduction and into Champ Dev. It's been one of the best things, and we've had multiple people from Champ Dev on the podcast already. Got Ho Ho coming on the podcast tomorrow, so that's gonna be an awesome podcast episode just because he's such a unique guy with such a cool background and a great mission that he's after right now. But how did you get roped in? What
Yeah.
you into Champ Dev and what made you like? Because now you play a pivotal role with Mike. He leans on you, it seems like, for a lot of like cool growth discussions and how to continually evolve. And
Yeah.
so,
Dude,
yeah,
I did not, I knew I invited you to a bunch of stuff, but I didn't know that that was the catalyst to it. That's awesome, man. I had no idea. Um, that made me feel really good. So thanks for bringing that up.
so cool, huh? I'm glad
I
that you
got in, yeah, I got into Champ Dev from Devonte Brown. Did you ever meet Devonte?
never met him, but I know the name.
Goofy guy, amazing guy. He was a DM and sales guy with Cutco, and I saw Chew on social media. I asked Devonte to introduce me to Chew, and Devonte put me in a group chat, and that was right around um, end of end of December, early January 2020. So end of December 2019, January 2020, right
Right?
before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had I forget exactly what I had, but I think it was I had like $800 in my bank account, and like the deposit for Champ Dev was like $700 or something like that, or 750. I have this screenshot somewhere in my Google Photos, but like I was left with like $50 in my bank account after I committed to Champ Dev. But I knew like things needed to change. I was I had not worked out in a very long time, and I honestly just joined Champ Dev to like get a workout plan, get a trainer. My dad said something like, "You should go back to the gym so you can look more like a man." Like he said that to me over the holidays, and I was like, "Shit!" Like, okay, I guess I got to go back to the gym. But then joining Champ Dev was like more than just workout plans. It was like how to scale and grow the business, and obviously the workout plan helped. And yeah, since then it's been now almost 5 years, I think, almost 4 years or whatever it's been since joining, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, and so joining into Champ Dev got you a lot of like personal development help and guidance, got you a plan.
Yep.
What else has it brought you?
A lot of connections, and it like broadened my view of the world. Um, being in Vector, you have these whatever they're called, like these side glasses on where you can only see straight, you can't see past you, can't see on the side of you. So you're just so focused on what you're doing that you really are too busy to think of or do anything else. And Champ did really taught me to slow down, look at the other opportunities, learn about a lot of other opportunities, be able to ask questions, think critically. And it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone of just doing vector. And I can attribute a lot of the growth that I've had to what I've learned with Chew and with Champ Dev. I recommend coaching for everybody, whether it's Champ Dev or whatever other coaching group, because there's a bunch out there. Like I recommend personal development coaching to everybody.
Yeah, I as well. I mean, you got me into it in October of 2020, so like not even you being in there for that long. I then joined and got to meet with a lot of cool people, successful entrepreneurs at retreats, and cry so much, just like learn so much about myself and yeah, healing and learning from my past and breaking these self-limiting barriers that I had on myself. And it's no, it's been great. And I have like I'll never forget you inviting me to the Money Monday that got me in. Like that's something I'll hold on to and remember forever. And then I know that you also are a coach yourself, right? Like you coached basketball at some point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, how did you get into that?
I love basketball and I love soccer, the sports. I love the sport, like the business of the sport and the sport. So I love both of them. In 2021, when I was spending a lot of time like not working, I went to one of my reps volleyball games. Like local high school kid that just graduated was in some volleyball tournament. Went to his high school volleyball gym, and I realized like this is what I'm missing. It's the getting back to like the sport, the teamwork, like that part of being in person is what I really missed. And so I went up to the athletic director of the school that was there, the Culver City High School is what it was. I went up to the athletic director and I said, "Hey, who are your basketball coaches and who are your soccer coaches, and do they need any help?" She kind of brushed me off and was like, "Yeah, no, I mean, I'll give them your information to see if they're interested in help or whatever." And I kind of knew based on her response that she was just going to throw my information away and like never introduce me to anybody. So I wanted to Google the Culver City High School basketball coach, found Coach Roy's name, found him on Instagram, sent him a voice note, and the voice note I still have it on my phone. It was on Instagram actually. The voice note says, "Hey, Coach Roy, I'm sitting in the gym right now watching Darius play volleyball, and I really want to get back into organized sports. I'd love to help you out for free. Like whatever you need, just let me know." And like a couple voice notes later, we meet up, we link up really good, connect really well and deeply. And he brings me into his new job when he transitioned from Culver City to St. Monica High School. And I was in I kind of ran the freshman sophomore team. It was like just right place at the right time. They needed somebody to kind of lead these kids and coach this team. So I ran that team, coached that team, and I was an assistant for Coach Roy on the varsity team. There were 4 or 5 other assistants, so I was like at the very end of the bench type of guy. But that was an amazing experience, and I was there for about 2 years with Coach Roy, and then Coach Roy moved on. Him and I are still very tight, very close. And I was coaching at Westchester High School, which is another elite high school basketball program, and that's when I realized that I wanted to try to get into soccer. I love soccer as a sport more than I love basketball, but I love the business of basketball more than I love the business. It's weird the way my brain works, but with soccer, starting in 2023 last year, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to work. So I was looking up all of the professional teams, all of the college teams in the area, and I messaged everybody on LinkedIn that I could find, like trainers of the women's team, trainer of men's teams, trainers of college teams, like people that ran these sport teams. I was messaging everybody, and only one person responded, and that was the assistant GM of the Los Angeles Force. And they didn't have a role for me. They didn't even have an opening anywhere, but they said, "Hey, show up to these tryouts if you want to, and you can help out. We'll see if it makes sense." Showed up to tryouts. The owner was there. Obviously, like, greased some palms, if you know what I mean. Just kind of made really good relationships. And during the tryouts, the owner was like, "You're the type of guy that we want to work with," and they made this role for me. It initially was going to start as like strength and conditioning, but then turns out that the facility gym access, like the team didn't have gym access at the facility. So even though I'm like being paid as a strength and conditioning coach, I haven't done any strength and conditioning with them. I'm kind of just like the utility guy. I run game day operations and yeah, do a lot of random stuff like that.
Yeah, because you understand the sport more than
Yep.
probably most people do that aren't around it. And so, yeah, you're able to kind of provide that outside knowledge. And yeah, it's just one thing that impresses me is like when you get an idea and you see something you want to do, you just like absolutely do everything and take massive action to go at it and just like find a way to make it happen. Like they didn't even have a role for you. They made up a role. And I remember you sent me like an email that you were because we were talking about like, hey, how can I get into wrestling coaching? And you're like, dude, I just took massive action and got into this role. And you sent me like a list of 10 things all color coded in an email. I don't know how I still remember this, but you're like, these are all the things I think I could help out with. And like you just try to provide so much value. What is the mindset? What drives that to just absolutely when you find something that you're like, I want to do this, you put massive action towards it. Like not everyone is wired to think like that. There's had to be something. Now I know you weren't born with that, right?
Yeah, I read the book The 10X Rule. I'm a big Grant Cardone fan, 10X baby. It like blew my mind hearing him talk about his story, but then hearing how that's kind of evolved to what he's created with Cardone Enterprises now. I would work for Grant. Like if he called me or if somebody from Cardone Capital or whatever called me, I'd like drop everything and work for him. Like that's how much I respect and want to work for the guy. But yeah, I read that book and that really kind of rewired my brain to like just take massive action and have no regrets. And also, bro, I think it's a little bit different when like you almost fucking die and like you haven't done what you think you want to do. And I don't even know if I'm going to be in soccer for a long time. I don't know if I'm going to do a second nature for a long time or in real estate for a long time, but fuck, I might as well give it my all and see if it's something that I enjoy doing. And so it's a little bit of a different perspective, but I don't want that to limit somebody from like, well, I haven't almost died yet, so I can't like explore these passions. You know, it's just a different fuel that I have. But for anybody that has not had a near death experience, but has these ideas, like think about what really is stopping you. And at the end of the day, you might just journal and discover that the only thing stopping you is you, and you have the opportunity, you have the time, you have the space, you have the connections, you have whatever you need to have to be able to get it done. It's just about now getting it done. Like just quit being a bitch and start getting to work.
Well, so what about the people that have, they like to, because obviously, like, there's nothing stopping anybody from achieving everything that they want to in life. What happens most of the time, because I've been listening to Outwitting the Devil again, is people get distracted. They get into drifting. How do you like handle distractions with having so much on your plate and just knowing where to direct your time and energy and having even more external things like having a girlfriend, now fiance, having friends, having like how do you manage all of it without being distracted? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people, struggle with.
I get distracted a lot actually, bro. Like it's not, I'm not gonna say I don't get distracted. I have a whole notebook full of ideas that at some point I'm going to act on, but like right now it doesn't make sense to act on those ideas. So having a place where you can like brain dump is I think important. Having time in your schedule where you can like just think and have nothing in your calendar except for just a block of thinking time. Having that in there is super helpful. But then I say no to a lot of people. Like I say no to a lot of invitations and I say no to a lot of even close friends that say, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that. Not because I don't want to hang out with them or don't want to see them, but I know that if I say yes to that, it's saying no to something else. And they know that I love them. They know that I care about them. They know that eventually when we hang out, it'll be amazing. But just that specific event or that specific time just doesn't make sense for me to do it because I'm so focused on other things. And I think I am focused on other things because I've seen what the type of life that I want to create. I've visualized it and I understand where I need to go, where I want to go. And I don't want to sound transactional when I say this, but like going out or getting breakfast with somebody, it's not going to get me closer to my goal. And a lot of times, and when it does, or when it does get me closer to my goal, or when I feel like I have the energy or the effort to be able to put towards that and still maintain whatever else I'm doing, then I'm more than happy to do it. But saying no to a lot has really changed my life in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that, I've talked to my girlfriend about is like I say yes to a lot of things. Like I have my aunt's 86th day today that I'm going to a little bit after this. I heard about it probably 5 days ago and I was like, oh, I'm there. Right. And like I feel like that's something that, I can be susceptible. I want to help everybody, I want to be there, I want to, you know, and I could definitely be susceptible to, yeah, like taking myself off of my track to go do this thing with my friends. And I don't know, that does fulfill me a lot though, right? So like everyone is kind of wired differently to where I show up more powerfully to my mission when I do kind of get my time with my family or time with my friends. But you also have a ton going on that you're juggling as well. And speaking of that, like what else is new that you got cooking up for people that you would want them to know?
Yeah, I'm excited, Carson, to talk about that. Before we jump there, I do have like one thing to add on what you said.
Oh yeah.
For you though, bro, like you're more powered up and fired up when you spend time with people that you care about, people that you love. If somebody random hit you up today and was like, "Yo, dude, can we get coffee?" You're like, "No, I got to go spend time with my grandma or my
Yeah.
aunt, right? So for a birthday." So you have those boundaries in place, and that's I think the lesson that people should understand is know your boundaries and have like hard set boundaries. And one thing that I am working on when it comes to boundaries is instead of having to explain something, just say, no, I don't want to do it. Instead of having to say, oh, no, I actually got this thing going on and I'm sorry I can't make it. Just straight up, no, I don't want to.
Mm, that's
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah, and like, family is different than yeah, like you said, if someone random just hit me up, "Hey, let's go do this thing." It's like, "Nah, I'm good.
Yep.
Have fun.
Yep.
Sounds like a great time, but nah, I'm all right."
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's
good.
something that I'm even working on too, because I feel like that I need to justify why I say yes or no to things. When in reality, like the people that are asking me to go out with them, like they still love me if I say no to them. Like they know it's not personal, and it's just an internal like monologue that's going on in my head.
Mm.
But bro, I'm pumped about what's coming next. So I have a couple ideas that I'm working on, and a combination of I have time, I have the resources, I have people that are interested in these ideas, and also like market factors are playing a big condition, like a big factor in the decision to like go after these ideas because I just said I have a whole long list of ideas that I just don't act on. But the one that I'm most excited about right now, it's a full body wearable suit that we're developing for recovery. It's called the Nova suit. There's going to be a few versions of it. The first version's like very low tech, where it's literally just gel packs throughout this specialized fabric in the suit for like full body cold therapy, contrast therapy, heat therapy type sessions. Then as that evolves, we're going to get rid of the gel packs and have electronics throughout the suit that you can adjust temperature manually and automatically up and down, so you can heat stuff and cool stuff, powered by a portable battery. And the use cases for that go far beyond just recovery. Like imagine when you're skiing or like at an NFL game in the winter, and people have individual heated gloves or heated pants. This is going to be a full body suit that you can wear underneath like an NFL jersey or a t-shirt or jeans or whatever, and you can be warm, cool down if you need to. And the use cases go far beyond just like personal recovery. So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, that's sweet. And like what empowered you to take, action on this idea and start getting things in motion?
I in January of this year, so what, 8 or 9 months ago, I really wanted to do an ice bath. And in the house that Nicole and I bought, there's no bathtub. So for
Mm.
us to do it, I had to like buy a tub from Amazon, like get a hose, and I'd have to go back and forth from the store to get ice. And it was just so not convenient. And I was thinking there had to be a better way to do it. And I was looking up like different things for potentially doing ice baths from like a townhouse that doesn't have a bathtub. There weren't really many options, right? It was like you had either got to DIY it yourself with these tubs or buy a plunge for like 5 grand, or just take a cold shower, which all kind of accomplish the same thing because cold is cold. But I wanted something that didn't involve water, and I wanted something that didn't involve taking up a ton of space.
Mm.
So I bought two spandex suits from Amazon and a whole bunch of ice packs. And I went to Michael's, got a sewing machine. I just stitched together these two bodysuits and put ice packs in different places. The photo is so funny. It looks terrible, but it worked. And I froze it, put it on. It was amazing. And I was like, damn, I got to take this and do something with it. And I put it kind of on the back burner because I just had no idea what I was doing. Until I was in Tulum with Champ Dev, and I was in the back of the bus with Geneva and Pat. And I forget what we were talking about, but somehow the suit idea came back up, and Anthony from DC was on the bus too, and kind of was a couple rows ahead or whatever. And he overheard me talking about the idea. He's like, "Man, that's a great idea." And then him and I connected after that, April, May, June, and he wrote a check, and now he's my co-founder and first investor. So I'm stoked.
Dude, that's insane. That's and then when like what is cooking right now in terms of when our product's going to be available? Are there even products being made right now? Like what
Yep.
is the status and like when can people expect this to come to fruition?
So right now it's mid-September, towards the end of September. We have about 2 months until Black Friday, Thanksgiving. Our goal is 1,000 pre-orders, 1,000 units pre-ordered by Black Friday. The pre-orders, Carson, for version one, it's $50, and anybody who pre-orders is going to get a discount, 25% on the actual retail price of version one. We anticipate version one to sell for $399 or $400. So super inexpensive compared to like a plunge, but with that 25% off, people are saving $100. The deposit's fully refundable. It's essentially just a spot for us to be able to prove the concept. Like if this works, a consumer would want one. And that's the purpose of the pre-orders, for us to be able to gauge market interest. And then the plan with that 50, those 1,000 pre-orders, obviously $50, 1,000 pre-orders is 50K. Going to take that 50K and use it for actual studies and get engineers involved, like actually make this thing work. Because at the end of the day, cold is cold. It's just a matter of like how cold something can get for us to be able to see the physical, benefits of it, the physiological benefits of it. So essentially, you could pre-order right now, pre-order through Black Friday, and then we're going to be shipping version one of the product in quarter one of 2025, so in a couple months.
Dude, that's fired up, man. It's coming soon. Coming soon. And so is
Yep.
there a link people can click that I can like put that in the podcast notes for people to just kind of check out on their own? You'll
Yeah,
provide me some
the
link.
link is thenovasuit.com. Suit.com. And
The
you're able to pre-order it. Yep. The deposit is 100% refundable up until about 30 days until we ship the product, and people are going to be updated before we ship, obviously, so they know if they want their money back or not. But essentially, the whole point of pre-orders is just to say, hey, there is consumer demand for this idea, that if it works, the consumer would want it. So that we can bring in investors and use their investments to then scale and grow this thing and blow it up. Because I think there's a huge market and opportunity for us.
Yeah, and there's like nothing like this out on the market right now, correct? What is
Correct.
like the closest product that people might already know of to this Nova Suit?
Yeah. Yeah, there's literally nothing that does what the Nova Suit is going to do and will do with the third version. There are like at home cooling, water cooling chambers or whatever, like suits, but those still require like a tank of water on your back, and they're still like circulating cold water throughout. So there's still water involved. That's the closest like suit to it. But then the comparable when it comes to heat is like individual heated gloves, or like one heated like back, like a pad for your back or whatever, like individual heated components. There's nothing for like the entire body.
Hmm. No, that's cool, man. It sounds super exciting for just like a lot of people that are into biohacking, taking care of their bodies, utilizing injury, what do we call, like rehabilitation in a sense. And so, yeah, maybe Novasu could sponsor the podcast at one point. Talk about it every day. I don't have any sponsors yet, and I want, at the end of every podcast, kind of like the Jocko podcast or Joe Rogan, it's like, oh, we make sure that you are having your proper recovery with the Novasu. No,
Use
no,
code brick by brick for 15% off.
my brick. Oh man. Oh man. Come on. We already know. Partnership inbound. So no, that's exciting, man. And how long do you see, this product being really useful for? Like, is this something you're gonna start taking on full time? Is this like because you already
Yeah.
got a lot that you're juggling with. So how now talk about everything else you're involved in, and now we add this company that you're essentially starting up as the founder. Again, like I would love for you to share with us, how do you organize your planner? How do you organize what is priority, and yeah, what gets your attention at what point and what is not?
Yeah. So thinking long term, there is going to be a time where I step away from what I'm doing to like put my entire energy and focus into this, into the Nova Suit. Um, to answer your first question, like how long is it going to be a thing for? I think the use cases for this, especially version 2 and 3, go far beyond just personal recovery. So I could see like variations of the suit being around for a very, very, very long time. One of the most exciting things about like the use cases that I'm thinking about and that we thought about was like military application. When I think about people that are defending the country, that are in these crazy desert missions and get super hot during the day and super cold at night, like being able to have like this full body temperature regulating device that is portable, has a portable battery, so you don't need to plug it in anywhere, like something like that. I think it's just so exciting to me. So yeah, so use cases far beyond personal recovery. I think it's gonna be around for a very long time. When it comes to my schedule and like how I put things in, um, it's kind of like whatever I got to get done, I got to get it done. I'm happy that I live in LA, and for second nature, the work that I do is more Midwest and East Coast, so 2 and 3 hours ahead. So I'm able to start a little bit earlier West Coast time and get that done. But even if I was in a territory that was West Coast, I'd still start early and get that stuff done a little bit earlier. And I got a job offer from Zillow and Second Nature at the same time, and Zillow would have been hourly, like would have been paid hourly, and Second Nature would like is a salary. So I was like, I might as well take the salary option because I know that's kind of like just work until you hit goal, and then they don't care what you do essentially, as long as you're hitting goal and hitting quota. So that's why I chose Second Nature, even though Zillow was more money, because I knew that I'd be able to just get the work done faster, hit and just provide as much value to these clients as possible, close as many deals as possible, and then focus on other stuff. So I'm doing Second Nature probably from like 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. Pacific time, and then real estate stuff from 2 p.m. to like 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time. But honestly, real estate doesn't stop. It's not just between 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. That's really what I'm just doing, primarily recruiting. But when agents have questions in escrows, they're calling me 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever, and I'm available for them. And then after I'm kind of done with the recruiting side of real estate, then I jump into all the other stuff that I'm working on. whether it's the Nova suit or other ideas that I have, or going to a soccer game or something like that. So I kind of break it up in different sections like that. So I time block really well in my calendar, but I still have a ton of white space, which is a lot of fun.
Dude, that's impressive that you still have white space in your calendar. And how do you balance your relationship with Nicole through all of this?
Right, right now we're in a very interesting season. So she actually moved to Phoenix back in March, and I'm moving to Phoenix at the end of the soccer season in November. So it's been beneficial where she hasn't been here and she took the dogs with her, so I could just put my head down and focus on grinding. But honestly, dude, couldn't have come at a better time for us to like have a long distance again in the relationship, because we were long distance while I was in LA and she was still in college for a couple of years. But I got into a really like dark place a couple months ago, beginning of this year, when I was kind of just floating and I didn't really know what I was working towards or what I was doing. Got into a crazy amount of credit card debt, and I just needed the space to be able to focus and just work. And that's really the season that I'm in right now. It was interesting, right? The ebbs and the flows. So I was working my butt off in 2020, kind of took my foot off the gas pedal and was like living life 2021, 2022. And then started to now get back into that space of like working a ton. So the seasons and the ebbs and flows of life are going to come, but this is the season for me where I'm just working my butt off.
What advice do you have for people that are currently in an ebb, that are like, you know, really in a dark place? They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel because they're so deep, and
It's
they're
tough. You got to just work your way through it. Yeah, it's it. You can't just sit back and let life happen. You got to work your way through it. And I know it's tough. I was there. I didn't want to do work, but you just got to find a way to get up, get work done, get out the house, and interact with people if that's where you get energy from. But just find a place to get yourself to work. And as time passes and as you grow and work hard, it will get better for sure.
What do your routines look like, in your habits for like personal development? Because I know that's something that you're really big on, being in Champ Dev, joining the Evolve calls, Money Mondays. Like,
And
I know outside, like obviously those are more structured, and it's like, yeah, I'm never missing an Evolve call because you just get so much value out of that hour. But what do you do on your own to like really help mental fortitude, build yourself up, and just make sure that you are doing the little disciplines to get you to that high level that you want to be at as a performer?
yeah. I sleep a lot. I eat really clean. Those are the two biggest things I would probably say. Sleep a lot, eat really clean. When it comes to like actively personal growing, again, it kind of comes in ebbs and flows. There was a time, 21, 22, where I was like 2020, 2021, 2022, where I was just straight up like podcasts and audiobooks all day, no music, nothing else. Like when I had 5 minutes, I was listening to something like that. And I really enjoyed it at the time. And now I just find it really hard for me to focus on listening to something for a very long time. So I still have audiobooks and podcasts, and I listen to a couple minutes here and there. But there's not a lot of learning externally going on right now in the season that I'm in. There's still a lot that I do learn, but I'm not going after like listening to books with the intent to learn. A lot of what I'm listening to now is like how to increase my capacity. I've listened to the same Modern Wisdom podcast with Hormozy like 3 or 4 times. It's like a 2 hour long episode of listening to that over and over again. So that's a lot of repetition of the same, but it's more like peak performance. How do I optimize myself is what I'm learning a lot of right now.
It's funny you say that, is like listening to the same thing over and over. I think I heard that from Hormozy as well, where it's like, what's more impressive to me is someone reading the same book 12 times in a year than someone that read 12 different books in a year. Because,
Yeah,
it sounds like you're kind of doing that. So speak to that, because I know a little bit about that, but I want to hear it in your perspective.
yeah. I think about the 10x rule. I have the book over on the coffee table I'm looking at right now, but
Got it
like
right there.
that book, yeah, I see it, the yellow. You can't
Yep.
miss it. I listened to the 10x rule audiobook because Grant narrates it and it's amazing. Went 3 times in 2020,
Mm.
and I've listened to it probably a dozen times since. But it's just one of those things that you listen every time and you hear different things every single time, and it kind of like stacks on top of each other. Like the first time you hear it, there's like a very basic understanding. Then the second time you hear it, wow, it's a deeper understanding. Then it kind of gets more and more refined. And I think that's why I really enjoy reading listening to things multiple times. You just understand it at a different level and you pick different things up each time.
Yeah, because it's really hard. Like if you read it like a 300-page book, it is so hard to implement every bit of that book without getting distracted, or without like actually doing it at the full capacity that you can, kind of spreads all of the energy that you have into all of the other things you've been reading. And it's like, no, like read a book, implement everything from that book before you move on to the next one, because yeah, you're gonna leave some stuff out. And so I know we only got like a few more minutes left here. And man, the time flies when you throw clocks, right? And so you like that one. And
I
so
did.
really, I want to kind of end here with, hey, what more can we expect from you? And then how can people find you if they want to follow the journey?
Yeah. Uh, what was first question? What can you expect
Yeah,
down the
what else
road,
can we
kind of thing?
expect from you in the next, decade?
Yeah, I really enjoy like storytelling, and I really enjoy learning people's stories. So at some point, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't want it to be a podcast, but at some point, there's going to be some type of medium for me to be able to like share people's stories through video or through audio, whatever it's going to be. But something like that over the next couple of years, I'm definitely going to work on that. Um, I definitely want to get like professionally licensed in strength and conditioning and start to work more in professional, like higher level professional leagues for soccer. That's going to be coming soon. And obviously the suit's going to blow up, so that's going to be a big thing that we're working on for the next foreseeable future. But for people to find me, I don't really use social media much anymore, but that's probably the easiest place for people to find me. It's just at Kuvaal, my first name, at Kuvaal underscore. Instagram,
That's how you spell his name.
there it is. And Facebook, Instagram, probably the two most often, and LinkedIn, the three most popular places that I go right now. But I'm very rarely using social media again, just like that in this space of deep focus.
I was gonna ask, like, why is that? Is that just because you're in that tunnel vision? I know exactly what I need to get done. I just need to be
Yeah.
putting all my
Yeah.
energy.
So I go through these seasons, dude, where I not even seasons, but like couple days spans where I just delete Instagram and TikTok and everything off my phone. And I find myself just so much more focused. Because when you have Instagram on the phone, right? Like what you do in between calls, right? You're just swiping before somebody jumps into your Zoom waiting room type of thing. That's what I realized I was doing. And I wanted to see how much time I was actually quote unquote wasting just kind of doom scrolling on these things. And ever since I deleted them, I find myself like sleeping now like 9 or 10 hours a night. It's been amazing. Find myself like more productive during the day, way less screen time, and it's just been amazing. But there's these times where I like re-download it because I'm going on a flight and I want to kind of doom scroll on the flight. But then I find myself like, why am I even doom scrolling? Why am I scrolling right now? I'm not really getting anything out of this, and I close the app. So not having it on my phone has really just opened my mind up to a lot more. Um, and I honestly got me a lot more focused on some different things on the phone than just like the social media side of the phone.
Hmm. Man, that is powerful. That is powerful. I know you gotta skedaddle on out of here soon. So go find Kuval. Yeah, here you go. My little pocket watch is going off. Go find Kuval, give him a follow, even though he's not super active. He still has some really great stuff on his social media that you can access on his LinkedIn page. Kuval has big things coming. And so do you have any last words that you'd like to leave this crowd?
I'm excited for what we're gonna build, bro. That's it. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey, I love you, bro. And for those of you out there that got a nugget, a single nugget, share this podcast with someone. Clip your favorite part, listen to this over and over, something that you got, and remember to climb on. We love you guys. Peace.